America's Football League turns 100 years old. Hi there, welcome to Plain English. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and this is episode 211 of Plain English, your recipe for success and the best podcast for learning English. All the episode resources are available at plainenglish.com/211. Coming up today, America's National Football League is preparing to celebrate its 100th birthday, and it is as strong as ever. Just a few years ago, it didn't look that way. Later on in the episode, we'll talk about what it means to turn a corner. And we have a great song of the week, one of my favorite songs, so you have that to look forward to also. Ready to get started? Let's go. Next year, America's National Football League will be 100 years old. Although American football is not as popular in the rest of the world, it is America's favorite sport, though that hasn't always been the case. Football is a huge part of America's traditions in the fall, and this Thanksgiving Day 2019 is no different, with 3 games going on, starting around midday and lasting into the night. Let's start with a measure of how popular and integrated American football is into our culture. The Super Bowl, the championship football game held each winter in January or February, is often the United States' most watched television broadcast all year. Many people throw Super Bowl parties and invite their friends and coworkers over to share food and beer and watch the game together. The average American football game, so not the Super Bowl, just an average game, draws 16 million viewers here in the U.S. Now, to put that in perspective, the least popular time slot for an NFL game is on a Thursday night. A Thursday night football game attracted more viewers than one of the World Series games in baseball. So a routine, regular season football game in the least popular time slot outdrew a championship game in baseball, which is the next most popular sport. Here's another fun fact. The NFL draft, so not even a game, the NFL draft is a media event in which teams select their players for the next year, and it's televised. So the NFL draft had more viewers last year than playoff games in basketball and hockey. Often the most popular primetime television shows are regular season Sunday and Monday night football games. So you're starting to get an idea that it's really popular. Just a few years ago, though, it seemed that American football was headed for a decline. The media was full of stories about how football's moment had passed, how the mighty league was going to fall, how fans were being turned off from the game. The league faced a perfect storm of challenges all in the same 2 or 3 year time period. The most serious threat to football was, and remains, player safety. Football is a heavy contact sport. They are big guys. They crash into each other. They tackle each other. They hit hard. sometimes too hard, and the league was facing a real question about the long-term health effects that players suffer from being hit so many times over the course of a career. Helmets protect your head, but players are susceptible to concussions. Too many concussions can lead to permanent brain damage. Several former players suffered from dementia early in life. Others suffered from headaches. The life expectancy of an NFL player is decades less than for the general population. Many former players doubted whether they'd let their kids play the game. Parents started pulling kids from youth football programs, and if there are fewer kids playing football, then there are fewer football fans and fewer potential players in the future. That was the first problem. The other problems were image-related. Several players were embroiled in off-the-field controversies. That's a polite way of saying several players were in trouble with the law. And I'm not talking traffic tickets. I'm talking things like domestic violence, guns, things like that. I won't go into details, but there was a disturbing video of a player, and the league was under pressure to discipline the players over and above whatever legal consequences they faced. At the same time, the players have a union, and the union wants to make sure that the players aren't punished unfairly. So this put the league in the uncomfortable position of having to adjudicate domestic violence and other criminal activity among its star players, and every minute of publicity for that took its toll on the sport's image. Then there is the politics. One player, followed quickly by a few others, decided to kneel down as the national anthem played before the game. The player said that this was in protest of police violence toward African Americans, and the sports media went on a feeding frenzy. All of a sudden, the national anthem and who was standing and who was kneeling was the hottest topic in the sports media. This was a very political statement by that player, those players on the field, and a lot of fans didn't like it. A lot of fans did like it, but a lot of fans took that as a sign of disrespect to the country, to the flag, and a lot of people didn't appreciate that now they had to be exposed to political controversies while watching football on Sunday. As if your day is not already full enough of divisive controversy, it's now staring you in the face as you watch a football game on Sunday. TV ratings for the NFL took a dive for 2 years in a row. The year of the national anthem protests, viewership was down by 8%. The media seemed to delight in predicting the demise of American football. The smart opinion, the thought leaders were all saying the same thing. Football's moment had passed. But now, as the NFL prepares to celebrate its 100th year, it seems to have turned a corner. They implemented rule changes, and they continue to review rules each year aimed at protecting player safety. They have implemented more rigorous concussion screening protocols, and they are leading an effort to reduce the risky contact in youth sports. Football is always going to be high contact and there is risk. The professionals on the field know the risks, but the kids playing in school leagues don't. So rules are being changed in youth leagues to make playing football safer in schools. The player who led the national anthem protests now doesn't have a job. That rubs some people the wrong way, but the national anthem protests have passed. I don't know if we'll ever know for sure, but my guess is that the league and the players' union both realized that they have too much to lose from staging national political dramas in the middle of a football game. Fans, who pay everyone's bills, want and deserve an escape from the controversies of the day, and the league and the players have moved on. What endures, though, is that the product is so good. A football game is exciting. Anything can happen. Each team only plays 16 games a year, so every game counts. Every game matters. It brings a city together, and in the age of streaming, it's one thing that everyone pauses and watches at the same time. The games have, if anything, gotten better over the last few years, too. Are you part of our email community? If you are, then you're already getting an extra English word or phrase delivered right to your inbox every Monday and Thursday. If you're not, then you're missing out. JR sends out an email with each episode, and we also include an explanation of one English phrase or expression in addition to the one we discuss on the program. Over the course of a year, that's 104 new English phrases for you. So make sure you're signed up to get those bonus words by visiting plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. The expression I'd like to share with you today is to turn a corner. To turn a corner means to finish or pass through a difficult time, to correct your actions, to put difficulties in the past. The NFL suffered from a few years of ratings declines. Certain stadiums were half empty on Sundays, an embarrassment to the country's most popular sport. But in the last few years, ratings have increased. Most controversies seem to have died down. The NFL has turned a corner. The NFL has put its difficulties behind it and is now looking toward the future. You can often say that a person turns a corner if that person has suffered from personal difficulties in the past. You might know someone, or this may even describe you. We all know people who have had personal struggles. It could be addiction, unemployment, divorce, drinking problems, whatever. This happens in life. And for some people, it lasts longer than for others. But the important thing is to be able to turn a corner, to correct things in life that aren't going well. You might describe a friend or family member and say, he really turned a corner after he got married. Or you might say that another friend suffered from depression after losing his job, but that he turned a corner after he got some more education and got on a better career path. When you use turn a corner, you're saying that the person or company involved had an active part in making a change. I really turned a corner in my career after I found a job that I liked. In this example, I took the initiative to find a job I liked. I had a part in it, so we say that I turned a corner. Likewise, the NFL turned a corner because they recognized they had a problem and they took some active steps to make a change. They quelled the controversies, invested in player safety, and made sure the product on the field was compelling. So they had an active role in making a change for the better. So we say they turned a corner. We talked about WeWork a few weeks back. It's too early to say whether they've turned a corner or not. Their crisis was just recently. But we may look back on the events of this fall and say that the new leaders of the company turned a corner when they replaced the CEO and changed the company's strategy. Well, I wrote this episode on a train to New Jersey, so I nominated this week's song, Dancing in the Dark, by Bruce Springsteen. He's famous from New Jersey. The song is in my head because I discovered a great cover of this song by the singer Passenger. You can find it on YouTube. It's a great cover. It's a rock song, but the cover is acoustic and more mellow. Either version is great. Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen and the cover by Passenger. That's all for today. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are in the United States. I know a lot of you are. I hope you're getting a taste for what an American Thanksgiving celebration is like. Usually a big meal sometime late afternoon, football on television, catching up with family and friends, maybe some shopping tomorrow if you're brave enough. I do mine online. The holiday began with the Pilgrims, the first European settlers in the Americas who suffered a devastating drought in their first punishing winter in the New World. The next year, they had a bountiful harvest, and in celebration, in October of the year 1621, 53 pilgrims celebrated with 90 Native Americans at the first Thanksgiving, a 3-day feast to give thanks to God for the blessings of the harvest. And this is the occasion on which we today, almost 400 years later, celebrate the blessings we have in our modern life. So on that note, I would like to say thank you to all of you for your kind words, your advice, your encouragement over the years. Happy American Thanksgiving wherever you are, and we'll be back here on Monday with our next episode. See you then.